Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another video of Green Square Talks Battlebots. So, I am here with my predictions for episode 9 and such, just like what I've done in past episodes. Basically, what the plan is I'm just going to go through each fight one by one, share my prediction, and share some reasoning and other thoughts I have on the fight, as I have in the past. So, oh yeah, had a solid prediction week last week despite lots of fights being really hard to call. And that's kind of the same thing here, I feel, because quite a few, like to some people, this is a relatively easy episode with several one-sided fights, but I don't see it that way. I feel lots of these are going to be a lot closer than what a lot of people might imagine. So this should be interesting. But before I get started, be sure to reply down below with what your predictions are for this fight card. As usual, I'd love to hear what y'all and I'm sure they're different from mine. It's always great hearing another fan's opinions on a certain fight on here or all the fights on here and stuff, even if it differs from mine, because lots of these really could go either way, as I've said, so it should be fun. So I have a few King of Draft fighters in this one, and this should be good. So let's go ahead and get started. Anyway, so we're gonna lead it off. We got Gruff and Cobalt at the leadoff, and I'm hyped for this one. So I've known this fight's gonna happen for a while, mostly because it appeared on the trailer for or the first episode, I believe, and stuff, where we see Cobalt landing a hit or landing a few hits onto Gruff, and I got a few big takes for this one. So yeah, so my prediction is going to be Gruff, because I'm going to support my King of Draft pick, because Gruff is my round 5 pick in this fantasy competition that I'm involved with. But I feel like if I'm wrong about any predictions on this fight card, it's probably going to be that one, because this is going to be a difficult one for Gruff to win and stuff, because, like, I feel Gruff's only shot on winning this one is going to be the flip Cobalt over, because we know it can't self-right. Like, just check out the fusion fight and stuff. Or if Cobalt gets immobilized somehow, whether that's like getting stuck on the floor, or if some sort of internal thing goes wrong, or like maybe even if Gruff torches their internals and stuff, gets the opportunity for that. But I feel odds are probably against Gruff here because that vertical spinner is lethal on Cobalt. Because like Cobalt is 1-1 right now. Started off with a loss to Fusion, but when they were getting underneath Ghost Raptor in their last fight, they shredded that thing apart. And another reason why I'm kind of thinking Gruff is like I feel Gruff's durability is definitely better. Now, as Sam was talking about how they improved the durability of their robot. It took hits pretty well in their victory against Switchback. But then, of course, my other concern is Gruff's probably going to need to win the ground game on this one, and I don't feel it's there and stuff. Like they definitely have decent ground game and all and stuff, but I feel Cobalt's got lower ground game with the forks and stuff, so Gruff might need to outdrive Cobalt in this one. But with Matt Maxim at the wheel for Cobalt, that's not going to be an easy task. And my big hot take for this one is could we see Gruff's fuel tank explode in this one? I was talking with Porinog ever since we got this fight card because he and I are both Battlebot supporters on Facebook, and anytime the fight card's released, we always are DMing each other on Discord, talking about it, and that's one of my predictions for this. But I bet I expect we're gonna see some destruction in this one. I bet we're gonna see yeah, I bet this is going to be a banger first fight. I am going to predict Gruff for this one, but this is a risky prediction because I feel odds are definitely against Gruff with a lot of the reasons that I've mentioned so far. And either way, it should be a good match. In terms of top 32 status, I think this is a win-or-loss situation for honestly both robots because win or go home situation is what I should say, like in terms of top 32 status, because both robots are 1-1 right now. Both had a solid victory and then a solid defeat as well, for the most part. But I feel these two robots are probably in about a similar, in a similar spot in terms of that. But either way, this is an important fight for both robots, and I bet the audience is gonna win in this one. Like we saw a banger first fight in Malice and Blacksmith last time. I bet we're gonna see another one here. All right, let's move on to Duck and Riptide. And so Duck, man, that's too bad that Duck is really struggling this season. Currently at 2 losses, with losses to Witch Doctor and Dragon Slayer. And then Riptide, on the other hand, is 1-1 with a win over Huge, but then lost in a close judge's decision to Defender. So, in terms of this one, my prediction is going to be Riptide. I'm going to predict the rookie for this one. Mostly because, like, while Duck has definitely been facing a lot of gremlins, and it is possible that Duck could get those issues that they were having fixed, I'm not too confident in it. Like Riptide has been looking great, is what I should say first. Like I think Duck's big shot of winning this is controlling the fight, but they just haven't had the push power this season. Like they got bullied by Witch Doctor and Dragon Slayer in a push fight in both of those matches, which is really too bad. Because like I was really hyped to get to see Duck back for this season. Because like I love Duck and stuff. It's such a fun robot, and so on. And but but yeah, I like Riptide in this one. Riptide's looked great in their first 2 fights, and as well, I bet this fight goes to the judges, and the judging criteria just really favors Riptide in this one, just with the fact that Riptide is more capable of doing damage with that egg beater, and we know from their first 2 fights so far that that weapon has a lot of power to it. So this should be interesting and stuff. So yeah, moving on. Let's go to Valkyrie and Pardon My French. So, Valkyrie is currently 1-1, and they started off with a loss to P1 by judge's decision, and then got a victory over Triple Crown in a YouTube exclusive fight. And then they're up against Pardon My French, who lost to Claw Viper in a YouTube exclusive fight. Pardon My French is one where I'm really hoping they fix their gremlins that they were having in the last fight and stuff, because they talked about how their weapon was having issues, their drive was having issues as well. But then they hinted in their damage report after the Claw Viper fight that they did get to fix a lot of those and stuff. Like they noted their ability to self-right. They should be able to right themselves with their weapon and stuff this time around if they happen to get flipped here. So, so yeah, my prediction is going to be Valkyrie for this one because I feel Valkyrie, despite the Triple Crown fight being really quick, Valkyrie looked pretty solid in that one and stuff. Like we saw a speed controller explode in the P1 fight about a third of the way through the battle, and they looked solid even though that fight with Triple Crown ended in one hit. I got a little more confidence in Valkyrie for this one, but I could definitely see this fight going in either direction. As I could definitely see part of my friends swooping in there and winning this fight, because like I think, because like if these two go weapon on weapon, part of my French is probably going to win that exchange and stuff. But I don't know what to expect from this one. This should be an interesting one. I'm picking Valkyrie because I got a little more confidence in them, but I'm ready to see an upset. I'm always up for a good upset and stuff. Like it's the element of surprise is always something I love to see with this show. So yeah, I'm going to go Valkyrie, and let's move on to fight number 4, the Midway Major, which features Lockjaw, who is currently at 0-2 with losses to Copperhead and Hypershock. And then on the other end, we got Blip, who is 2-0 with victories over Rusty and Overhaul. So, a lot of you might be thinking they're pairing Lockjaw, a winless robot, up with an undefeated robot in Blip. But believe it or not, I'm actually picking Lockjaw for this one and stuff, because one of my big concerns that I've mentioned for Blip, I think I mentioned this when I introduced a competitive roster in the first Battlebots 2021 podcast I did of this season. And one of my real concerns for Blip is how well can they take hits from spinners? Because a lot of that stuff is unknown to me as of now. Oh, and stuff. Like I think regardless, Blip will get into the top 32 and stuff, even if they don't win this one. But yeah, enough of that. But in terms of this fight, I think Lockjaw is going to win this because the other concern I've got is Blip relies on winning the ground game in order to use its primary weapon on its opponent. And Lockjaw also has outstanding ground game, and a lot of that is stuff to keep an eye on for this fight and stuff. I think if Lockjaw wins the ground game, they're not going to have any problem with getting flipped, and Blip's going to take some hits from that spinner. And like I said, with the spinner concern I've got with Blip, we're not really sure how well armored that robot is as of now. I'm sure Aaron Hill knows that very well, knows the answer to that, but yeah, I'm that's a big concern I've got because there's a lot of tech with that flywheel flipper and Blip. So could they possibly be as well armored as like Hydra is, for example? So of course Hydra it can take hits very well though, even though it hasn't seemed like it this season. They definitely can. So the plan is to predict Lockjaw for this one. I'm gonna predict by a knockout, but I don't know what to expect. And this fight could go either way because like if Blip does get underneath Lockjaw and starts sending them flying, like, if Blip just controls the fight, this fight is theirs. So we'll see what happens in this one. But Lockjaw definitely needs a victory in order to get into the top 32, and I have some confidence that they could get that. So alright, so next up we got Minotaur and Deep Six. So both of these robots at a 1-1 record right now. Minotaur started out with a devastating loss to Sawblaze, and then got a solid victory over Dragon Slayer. Then on the other side we got Deep Six, who got a destructive victory over Pain Train, and then took a loss to Smee in a disappointing fashion, which unfortunately was getting stuck under the kill saws, so yeah. And this is also a Green versus Pori rivalry in our King of Draft fantasy competition on Discord that we're involved in, because Minotaur is on my team, Deep Six is on Pori's team. But yeah, my plan is to support my King of Draft pick. Sorry, Pori. I'm picking Minotaur for this one. So, but for this one, Minotaur is going to need to drive this one perfectly because like if these two go weapon on weapon, there is no doubt Deep Six is going to win that exchange. Because while it is true that Minotaur has won exchanges with vertical spinners before, like Endgame, I'll add Death Roll to that too. Like they're not going to win a weapon on weapon exchange with Deep Six. Deep Six is on a whole nother level and stuff. So Daniel Freitas is going to need to be on his A game for this one, and going to need to outdrive Deep Six. Hopefully, use Deep Six's gyro issues to their advantage and stuff. Because like if Deep Six like turns too much, they're going to flip themselves over because of those gyro issues. And then Minotaur could also get at those exposed wheels on Deep Six, like what Smee did, because Smee did manage to get a wheel when they fought Deep Six in that fight. So either way, this is going to be an interesting one. Like, I think we're going to see some big hits, but if Deep Six starts getting some hits with that vertical spinner in on Minotaur, it could be all over for Minotaur. Because, like I said, a weapon on weapon exchange would almost certainly go to Deep Six for this one. And so this will be interesting. This will all come down to driving here, and both teams have a pretty good driver, so this will be good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next battle here where we got Sub-Zero and Hijinks. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. We got Sub-Zero, who is currently winless with losses to both Shatter and Bloodsport. And on the other side, we got Hijinks, who is currently 1-1 with starting off with a loss to Mammoth and then got a victory over Kraken in what some people found to be controversial and stuff. And yeah, so this one I feel is a difficult one to call and stuff. Right now, my pick is going to be Sub-Zero, unfortunately, because like I love Hijinks and stuff, but I just have so many concerns for Hijinks, because we learned from the Kraken fight and even the Mammoth fight too, and then Jen talked about this a lot in her video recapping the Kraken fight. Hijinks doesn't exactly drive so well upside down, and that's a concern I've got because they're up against a flipper here. Like one flip and they're upside down. But then the other concern is damage that Sub-Zero could potentially take, because Hijinks proved in that fight with Kraken that that horizontal spinner has a lot of power to it, and they could very easily cause some serious damage. Yeah, and so my prediction is going to be Sub-Zero based off of aggression and like control, but I feel Sub-Zero is going to need the knockout with how the judging criteria is formed and stuff just on this season, because it's still very, because like Hijinks, it didn't feel like they deserved an aggression and a control point in the Kraken fight. But when I looked through the judging criteria, when I did some research on it, after seeing that all three judges gave Hijinks an aggression and a control point in that judge's decision with Kraken, it does make sense with what the rulebook says online for that, for why Hijinks got a point. Which is my reasoning for why I think Sub-Zero does need to win this fight by knockout, whether it's by drive issues due to Hijinks not driving so well upside down, because I believe based off of what I saw from Jen's video, based on what I recall from it, they seem to have signal issues whenever they're upside down, which is why they don't drive so well. But I'm ready for this one. This one should be an interesting one. But I think Hijinks definitely needs to win here in order to get into the top 32. Sub-Zero, they're not only going to need to win, they're going to need to absolutely dominate. And even that might not be enough to get into the top 32, in my opinion. But who knows what to expect. We'll find out if QWERTY, who runs King of Draft, is going to be eating Subway after the next episode and stuff. And yeah, we know Pori is super hyped for that. So if you need info on what I was talking about by that, just go to the last episode review that Sub-Zero was in, where Pori explained what was going on with that so well. So all right, we'll go to the YouTube exclusive fight next. So we got Defender and Retrograde. So I'm not sure which way to go for this one. And overall, like I do have my prediction for this one, but this is a tough one to call. So like these two are both newcomers to BattleBots, but they're not new teams and stuff. Cause like the people that built Retrograde were part of Team Bloodsport last season, and then Defender is run by Jason Vasquez, Whiplash, of course. So yeah, so Defender is currently 1-1 with a victory over Riptide in their last fight, but started off with a loss to Ribot. Retrograde started off with a victory over Rampage, but then took a devastating loss to Huge. So, my prediction is going to be Defender for this one, but like I said, I have no idea what direction this fight is going to go. So here's why. Like I mentioned this in the last episode review that Retrograde fought Huge in, but I do have some concerns for Retrograde, and that is not because of the design, the driving, or anything like that. It's mostly because their fight with Huge got delayed in a point to where they only had 3 hours to repair their robot after it took so much damage to Huge. While it sounds like there wasn't too much internal damage, their frame did take a lot of damage, and that's a big concern of mine. But on the other hand, a concern I have for Defender is just their ability to self-right, as they seem to be struggling to do so in the battle with Riptide, meaning there's still stuff there. But I imagine Jason Vasquez probably fixed that stuff relatively easily and stuff. I don't know exactly for sure, but it should be interesting. My plan is going to be to predict Defender for this one, but I got no idea what to expect though. Because I feel Retrograde can definitely win this one based off of damage with like the Undercutter, assuming they come in with the Undercutter for this one. Because there is a possible chance they might just come in with the Forks for this one once again. Like, I don't know what to expect, so it should be. Hopefully, it'll be an interesting YouTube exclusive fight. The past few have been decent, but of course, Jackpot and Deadlift is still my number one for YouTube exclusive fight. But my pick is going to be Defender for this one, but I could definitely see it going to Retrograde. I think this is a win and you're in situation here for both robots, because I think the winner of this will get into the top 32. I think whoever loses this fight will not get into the top 32, unfortunately, which is too bad, because like I love both robots. Like the design is amazing for both of them, and I'd love to see both of them in the top 32, because I think they both have the capability to take out some big names. So All right, let's go ahead and move on. So now we got Scorpios and Yeti for the main event. And yeah, in the supporter hub, Diane posted once again. And like she posted their configuration for the Whiplash fight. She did the same thing with this fight too. They're coming in with that hammer saw that they used against Blade in their first fight. And then they have a front and armor configuration that kind of brings me like Saw Blaze vibes a little bit in terms of like the front tips and stuff. It looks like it's something to like scoop up Yeti to where they can drop that spinner right on them. And then Yeti, I haven't heard what their configuration will be for this one. Haven't heard anything on that one, but it should be a fun fight either way. I imagine this is going to be an absolute slugfest between both of these robots. I think both robots have the capability of winning this fight. And so my plan is going to be predict Scorpios for this one. Because one big concern I've always had with Yeti is their how well armored they are and stuff. I don't, because like we know from the fight with Blade that that weapon on Scorpios, the T-Rex blade, which is what they're going with for this fight, has some destructive power to it. I think they definitely have the knockout capability. I think I'm betting this fight ends. I'm gonna say by knockout in 2 minutes. Two like with less than a minute to go is what I'd say. But I think this is gonna be a relatively even fight. I imagine we're gonna see lots of hits from that drum spinner. But I think if either robot gets to a wheel or drive chain, that could possibly be the game changer for this fight, and it really could go on either end and stuff. This should be an amazing fight. I can't wait for this main event. And right now, I don't. Both of these robots are 1-1 right now. Scorpios got a victory over Blade and then took a loss to Whiplash. Yeti started out with a loss to Mad Catter and then got a victory over Pain Train. Like I could even if one of these robots loses this fight, I could see them getting into the top 32 and stuff. The the winner regardless is getting in because they're both pretty high tiered robots in my opinion. And the losing robot, I could see them getting in as a 1 and 2 as well because I feel both of them have the strength of schedule and the quality to get to that spot. But we'll see who takes this. We'll see who wins this fight. My plan is to predict Scorpios, but this really could go either way in my opinion. I think this will be awesome. So, all right, let's go ahead and review my predictions. All right, here we go. So then we got Gruff, Riptide, Valkyrie, Lockjaw, Minotaur, Sub-Zero, Scorpios, and Defender, which are my predictions for this episode. This should be a great episode and stuff. Like so many of these fights I feel could go either way and stuff. And I'm probably taking a risk with quite a few of these predictions. And yeah, I think this is going to be another banger episode. I bet we're going to see a bunch of relatively even matches like the last few, and it should be great. So, yeah, thanks for checking out this podcast. Be sure to reply down below with what your predictions are. Would love to hear them, and I'm sure your predictions are different from what I have right up here. This should be a great episode to watch. And yeah, thanks for checking this out. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll hopefully see you for the episode 9 review.